Your ability to persuade others is one of the most powerful resources you will ever discover. During this eye-opening podcast, you'll join Wayne Sutton as you uncover the secrets of influence based upon science and proven in the real world.
Today's podcast brought to you by sellingyourcoaching.com. Sellingyourcoaching.com. If you're a coach, consultant, course creator, and you are in the beginning stages or you're already doing multiple six figures and you're looking to scale, then jump on board, sellingyourcoaching.com. Now, let's get into the podcast. All right, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about invisible influence, invisible rapport, subconscious. And we're going to talk about this from a client that we have worked with, and we're going to use a story from that to let you see how it works. This is in chapter 12 in full detail. I'm going to read some from chapter 12. Obviously, I'll insert my own thoughts, and I may jump over a few paragraphs for time's sake. But if you want to learn how to really work with somebody on an unconscious level and get them to like you, know you, trust you, this is a formula, for lack of better words, and it works. So take notes. So, and obviously names have been changed to protect the innocent. Danny, we'll talk about Danny. Danny, a decent salesperson, was a guy I met at a networking meeting here in Wilmington, and he was attempting to pitch me his health insurance program. Despite the fact he was a nice guy, he had a major problem building rapport with the customer and managing sales resistance at the time. Danny, I don't need your insurance product, but if you're willing to allow me to help you, you would definitely sell a lot more. I shared with him some thoughts. He put aside a sales brochure, listened to what I had to say. After a few minutes of coaching, he admitted that building rapport was his most pressing issue in all areas of life. That's when we began to help him with the coaching. See, he was terrible at meeting people. He was terrible at that initial connection. He screamed salesman. Danny, write down these 4 letters and be sure to listen closely. He said, Wayne, if you can truly help me, I'll do more than write them down. I'll tattoo it across my chest. Well, no need to tattoos, but yes, it is that powerful. Write down these 4 areas. P, F, D, I. P, F, D, I. First is proximity. Now, proximity is just a statement. It means nearness in space, time, or relationship. We'll discuss physical space here as a measure of nearness. Now, again, proximity can be more, but right now we're going to do proximity of physical space. Next is frequency. Frequency is simply how frequently something occurs. In rapport is how many times in a certain period of time they see or hear about you. More on that in a few minutes. Third is duration. When it comes to frequency and proximity, how long are they aware of you in different intervals? And you got it. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. Last but not least is relevance or intimacy. And I know I said intimacy. Some people get weird on that word. This is not sexual intimacy. It's just relevance or intimate with that person in the context. We'll talk about that in a minute. This is probably the most powerful of the 4 keys, and we'll explain that again at the end of this podcast. So, now, again, names have been changed here and job titles, but the recruiting company Demetrius works for here in North Carolina compensates him for bringing top talent to his clients. In fact, Demetrius, this is very important, is required to build rapport with the company that is seeking to hire someone, as well as building rapport with the prospect, which is a skill that requires the highest level of skill. Demetrius hired us and began to use the unconscious rapport or invisible rapport program. At a recommendation, he began at least 30 days before a face-to-face meeting with the party. Now, do you need to spend 30 days building rapport before interactions? No. Sometimes you'll build it on the spot. It'll be a Zoom call. It'll be a face-to-face meeting, whatever. But for him, this was a high-level client that no one had been able to recruit. So we had to take our time. Now, this technique I'm going to teach you, the 4 levels, was taught to me over the years from a number of different mentors, and I've adapted it. I've adapted it through my understanding of human psychology, temperament, and also being out in the field and doing this every day. So, despite unsure of the original source of this knowledge, the response in our business has been incredible. As the result of following our coaching, Demetrius developed rapport by gaining understanding and then applying proximity. He was trying to recruit Hector, a systems analyst employed by a local pharmaceutical company. The previous attempt to recruit Hector had been unsuccessful, yet his qualifications and ability to lead teams made him a valuable prospect. So, the first rung on the ladder was to gain face time and proximity. This truly means getting rapport by either being physically close to Hector or seeming physically close. So actually being close was one step, appearing close is yet another. If the following sounds a little weird or a little invasive, I get it. However, this is why Demetrius was able to recruit Hector when no one else was able to do so, and bring Hector in at a salary that was actually lower than they were prepared to offer initially. In fact, the salary savings exceeded Demetrius' charge. So anyway, first, proximity. Proximity to the client or the prospect, in this case, the prospect. A quick Facebook scroll through Hector's profile, and yes, that seems a little creepy. Tell me you haven't Facebook stalked somebody. Showed that he was a regular user of a local gym, and because of all the sweaty, bulging trap photos, Demetrius also knew when he worked out. He posted all the time when he was exercising. So we know where he works out, we know when. So Demetrius picked up a gym membership in the same location Hector uses. Now, did he walk up to Hector and introduce himself during the middle of a squat session? No. In fact, Demetrius never introduced himself to Hector in the gym. In fact, he never even made eye contact and never said hello. Why? Here's a pro tip. It is impossible for your eyes or your mind to miss anything in your field of vision. Our mind unconsciously recognizes and sorts so many things when we, quote unquote, see them. Most of the information we absorb through our eyes is processed unconsciously, and we never become aware of it or use it consciously. Even if Hector just notices Demetrius unconsciously, the mind does two things. First, the mind recognizes every person, even if the person does not react to you. Secondly, and most importantly, the unconscious mind will now build a pattern of recognizing this person is not a threat or is a threat. In this case, it was not a threat. So when you meet someone new, your mind automatically and unconsciously searches for patterns and determines if this person represents a threat or not, without even having to think about it. So Demetrius spent a few days creating this unconscious distant proximity by running on the treadmill while Hector slung plates around the gym. How many times have you ever met someone and thought to yourself, where have I seen them before? It's likely you have seen them somewhere in the past. And even when you were not aware of it, your subconscious recognizes them. Because it occurs naturally, Demetrius was able to manufacture that feeling by design. Unconsciously recognized. Then the mind can unconsciously label Demetrius as safe, since he never posed a threat. This was very powerful, and Demetrius dropped a few pounds of weight too. Now, frequency. Frequency matters. Over a 3-week period, Demetrius was instructed to attend the gym twice per week, never making eye contact or saying hello. During this stage, we're trying to create unconscious trust and rapport by creating, I've seen you somewhere before, with the other party. As I said earlier, the brain decides patterns based on patterns it finds. If Hector sees Demetrius once and there was no threat, it's noted. However, if he is seen, even unconsciously, Demetrius a multitude of times as clearly no threat, it will assign the pattern by creating an unconscious folder for Hector. This is a folder we're going to open up later in our face-to-face meeting when they meet eye to eye. This method is used every day. Now, I'm going to say this is very important. This method is used every day by political and other organizations and social media and news media outlets. That's another podcast. We can talk about it. But once you see how powerful it is, there's no closing your eyes to the world of persuasion. This will be the subject of our future book. in our coaching sessions. By the way, we're 10 minutes into the podcast. Let me say this. If you're a coach, consultant, course creator, and you want to know how to truly build rapport, attract more clients, and fulfill the clients' fulfillment needs at a whole new level, go to sellingyourcoaching.com. Let's have a chat. Okay, back into the book. Duration. Frequency and proximity should be considered when considering the duration of people's exposure. It's important to consider how people consume information and how often you spend time with other people, especially those you trust. Let's look at some of the biggest influencers today. I'm not even going to mention their name. Even as I say that, they're probably already popping up in your mind. From 60-second video segments to podcasts and audio formats, ranging from a few minutes to several hours, they usually have it all. We absorb their information by reading articles, reading books, attending conferences. Interactions and consumption of different amounts of time will tell the unconscious mind if this person is safe or relatable. Now, when Demetrius finally met Hector face-to-face in a formal sense, he made sure to supply Hector with various ways to consume more information about the company and offer. This was crafted with a lot of precision, and each interaction had a definite purpose. So, for business owners, how do you get relevant information in different amounts of duration? Consider podcast episodes, such as this one. Videos of varying length. Long form, short form, medium form. Face-to-face encounters. How are you doing it? Now, last but not least is relevance or intimacy. In addition to building rapport, relevance seems to act as a glue that binds all the other aspects of the process together. One of my mentors likes to reframe the word relevance and call it intimacy because it creates warmth. Are you connecting with people in a way that is relevant? Are you developing and delivering a message that clearly displays you and your message is relevant to their needs? Are you relevant to their desires? If you're selling, let's say, life insurance, for example, who would you find and who would find you? Who would find your message relevant to their current needs? Have you been single for a while and you're looking for a relationship? If you're on the lookout for love, who would you find relevant? And what criteria would you use to determine whether someone's worth your time and attention? In this case, also, what criteria are they using to measure you? In a more personal sense, you could replace the word relevance with the word intimacy because of the connection. So focus on proximity, frequency, duration, and relevance. There's a lot of work, sure it is. At the same time, being able to influence and lead Hector to come on board, to be recruited was every single dime and every moment of time. So, what happened? Hector came on board. When they met face to face, there was this unconscious trust. When they began to have communication, there was various levels of duration. The frequency was right. This is the formula, and it's effective. If you want to know, again, if you want to build deeper levels of unconscious rapport, remember this. Remember it's the proximity, the frequency, the duration, the intimacy, or relevance. And ask yourself, how am I doing this? And again, let's chat. Jump over sellingyourcoaching.com. Let's have a discussion. Let's look at what you're doing and see if there's something we could possibly help you with. This is Wayne. Go out there, change lives, and get paid well for doing it. God bless.
Go to yourpersuasioncoach.com for more powerful resources on how to influence yourself, influence others, and impact the world.